Craig Fortune, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Kia ora, thank you very much for having me.
Mate, this is going to be a good chat. Like, reading your LinkedIn, and you've gone through a bit of adversity, to be fair, right?
But I think most of us at my age can probably attest to having been through a little bit of adversity at some point.
I like what you said about, you help businesses and help people with, working smarter, reducing stress and improving efficiency. And I think, with the world we live in now, who doesn't need that help? So this is going to be a good chat. How did you get involved in that, and what's your driver behind that?
I'll try and keep it brief, I suppose, because there's a bit of a story in the air. And I owned my own business for a long time, diagnosed with depression. I had a look at, I wanted to know why I got where I got in terms of that diagnosis. Life was pretty good, we're making good money, all those things. So essentially where that diagnosis came from was because I was just working all the time and not achieving anything.
Yep.
That whole busyness.
Yeah. Because you went through a pretty of a rough period during COVID or after COVID or like earthquakes? What was it?
Yeah, I think COVID was challenging for everybody, right? But my diagnosis of depression came about 6 years into our business journey, which was around 2018.
Okay.
So it was prior to that. Then of course COVID hit, which was super challenging for everybody, right? We never really recovered, given the nature of our business. We never really recovered. So then we went into liquidation March last year.
Oh, it's no good.
Voluntary liquidation.
Yeah. When you just said about being busyness, so there's a lot of people you meet like are busy, right? But they're just busy being busy.
Oh yeah.
How did you? Because you said
how's your week been? Oh, it's been busy, mate.
Yeah, because you were talking about it just then. You said something around, okay, I was busy, but I wasn't really achieving anything.
Yeah.
And where did those standards come from that you were telling yourself that, or what was telling you that?
I think the way I realised what was happening was simply that, like my wife would say to me, how's your day been? What did you get up to? I've got no idea. I don't know what I've done. I know I've been just flat out.
And as a business owner, we've all been there, right? There wouldn't be a business owner listening to this that has, like, some days you go, what'd you do? Oh, we've got no idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
How'd you get home? Not sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you drive home on autopilot, right?
Yeah, well, you do, right? And a lot of that busyness is reactive stuff. Stuff happens, we react to it. And it really comes from a lack of structure and a lack of understanding how to create structure.
Yep. Okay.
So that's kind of where I come into it. And the driver for me, you asked before about sort of, I guess the question was essentially, what is my purpose, I suppose, would that be? Yeah, I don't really want people to go down the same road I went down.
Yeah.
Because it's avoidable.
Yep.
That burnout is so avoidable.
Yeah.
And if I can teach people some skills that will help them avoid that situation, then that's a win, right? Win for everybody.
That is. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to capture yourself in those moments and what you can do moving forward so that you're not going to go through that burnout. Because you obviously created a business now, actually helping other people with this, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's still early days, but it's getting some traction.
Yeah. Well, the coolest thing is you've obviously learned stuff, right? And, I'm a big believer in pay for people's past knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. Not cool that you went through it, but at the same time, now you're using it for future good, which is awesome.
Yeah.
When you were in that, like, talk to me about your business. What were you doing, and what essentially was your day-to-day like, and then how did you, that capture of...
Yeah.
I know you talked to your wife and you didn't really know, but how did you did you go and then go, okay, I need to go see someone? How did it all kind of unfold?
Well,
by the way, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this, because
no worries.
It's not an easy topic, but I think the more we talk about it, one of the charities that we look after is Lean on a Gate. They help the farming community with depression and with this sort of stuff. So the more messages I believe we can talk about it is important, right?
Absolutely. And I get one phrase I get really frustrated with is, you suffer from depression. Yeah. And I don't suffer from it.
No, you actually made something. You had it.
To say you suffer from it is kind of like and for some people, unfortunately, it is a daily battle. But for the majority of people, they have depression and they can generally manage it pretty well.
Yeah.
For me, the moment, I guess, that it all came to a head is very, very clear in my mind. And so clear, in fact, that I can remember. So I was getting ready to go down south some meetings with some staff
Yep.
at some of our sites down south. I was upstairs, 2-story house, our bedroom's upstairs. I was upstairs. My wife was there with me. She was probably telling me what to pack. So I literally remember having my hand on the drawer.
Yep.
I can't remember whether I was opening or shutting it. Can't remember. And I just burst into tears. Just uncontrollable sobbing.
Yeah.
And my wife kind of looked at me and goes, what's going on? And I just, it was kind of like getting to the edge and I just fell over.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't cope anymore.
Were you feeling like you just didn't want to do the work anymore? Like you didn't want to be involved in that business? You didn't feel like you're making an impact?
No, to be honest, I don't think I felt anything except shit.
Shit. Just felt shit about it.
Yeah, and I say to people, I never ever, and sometimes this is a really difficult distinction to make, I never wanted to die or to harm myself.
Yep.
But I always felt that if I wasn't here, those issues would be gone.
Oh, wow.
And that's to me, there's a clear distinction between. I didn't want to hurt myself.
No.
And by saying not being here, I didn't really have some parameters around what that looked like. Was that just like going to Australia and, but it was just very clear. If I wasn't here, I wouldn't have to think about these things. I wouldn't be lying awake at night. Trying to go to sleep and just not being able to, all those horrible things. So
was that actually happening to you? Staying awake and
I couldn't sleep. Business was on my mind 24/7.
Yeah. Was that just the business was in a bad spot, or was it just too busy? Or like,
the business was doing great then. Business was great guns. And that's why I say to people, if you stood at my gate and looked up at my house and my life at that point. You'd go, piss off, man. How can you be depressed? How can you get depression? Your life is amazing. We'd just been to Bali or something on holiday, but it was, so the business was going great. It was simply that I was trying to do so much without any real understanding of what I was doing. Like I'd be lying and be going, shit, what have I forgotten to do today? What do I have to do tomorrow?
Oh, wow.
All those things because I was just jumping from one task, one reaction to another.
That's a real thing, right? I've met business owners that have talked to me about that. You know, lying in bed, thinking about stuff. And so when you think about that now, and obviously that moment with your wife, did you realize, hey, I need to get some help?
So I got myself together, went down with my wife's help because she helped me sort of sort me out a little bit. Went down, did my meetings, came back, and we had a bit of a talk about it. But prior to that too, like I've been really grumpy with my kids. I was probably a bit of an asshole to live with. As I said, I wasn't sleeping at all. I was always feeling, Sir John Curwen refers to the black dog, and that's probably the best. I was always like this black cloud or black dog hanging over me, no real other emotions. But so I got back, went to the doctor, and it's like you go to the doctor and they say, look, come on in, sit down there, tell me what's the problem. And I didn't even say a word, just burst into tears again.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was just, and he goes, oh, okay.
Okay.
And he's our family GP, and he's a bloody good bloke. So he was pretty amazing to deal with.
Put two and two together.
It didn't take him long.
What do you say to someone who's a business owner and like they're going through those early stages? Because when you look back now, there was obviously some things that you're not doing, like you're not sleeping. That's a big
huge
red
indicator.
flag, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And those, what do you say about also, I know for me, like I'm a big list writer. If I feel like I can't sleep, I just start writing lists.
Oh, magic.
And that does help. Like it does clarity of getting out of my head. Otherwise, you stay in my head. I would stay in my head too long. I don't know who told me to do that, but ever since it's just been
because what happens, you're lying in bed, like you can't change anything there and then, right?
No.
But because it's quiet and everything's still, that's when maybe ideas and thoughts come, and then you go, I can't forget this. I've got to hold on to it. And our brains, it's flash, but it's not that flash, right? So what happens? That keeps rotating around our brain and trying to remember it for tomorrow morning. If you get that out, I use my voice notes, and sometimes I'll be on my pillow. I can't see myself in the morning, but it's gone from my brain. I don't have to try and hold on to it. But if you're in that position where you're starting to be a bit concerned about where you're at where maybe your mental health is at, I'd just say get some help. And it doesn't necessarily mean go to the doctor or go to a psychologist. It might just mean get some support in terms of how you're working, what you're doing during the day, because that's the big driver.
Yeah. Yeah. I fully remember the first time, an employee came to me and said, look, I'm not feeling the best. And it was a real eye opener for me. Like I didn't, as an employer, I didn't really have any skills to deal with it. And now, like, hey, nearly 8 years later, it's you have different skills, but at the time I didn't. And it was really like I spoke to my lawyer about it, and he just woke me up in a second. He said, Scott, if someone came in with a broken leg tomorrow, how would you treat them? How would you treat one of your employees? And I said, well, so ask if they're all right. I'd pull the chair out. I'd get them to put the make sure everyone knew. And he said, well, your employees
what's different?
Got a broken leg. It's just something else is broken. It's just not their leg.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that was a gift that he gave me, because I realized I had to then learn, okay, how do I actually how can I help this person? And some of the things you could do is go for a walk. You can tell them to go for a walk. No, go for a walk with them.
Yeah.
Start engaging with them. And I was just really, I came from that whole, just take a concrete pill.
Harden up, man.
And I realized I was wrong. And it took me that instance to realize that. And now, obviously working with Lean on a Gate and hearing some of the stories that they deal with farmers and that whole community and how, little things you can do can help, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And there is things that you can do, it's not, you get the diagnosis of depression, you're not a lost cause.
No, totally not.
And there's 100% things that you can do, and there's also things you can do to avoid that onset too.
Yeah.
Which I guess what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
It's and that whole analogy of a broken leg is so good too, because there's always been the stigma around mental health, right? You're soft, you're weak.
Yeah. Totally.
And that's
why you got likes of, Craig Wiggins, Lean on a Gate, and Sir John Kerwin and Mike King, having those voices out there about this is huge. Let's look just, where should people go to get help? Maybe let's just tell them if someone's listening that they need a bit more help.
I guess it depends on the type of help that you're after and the depth that you're in that situation. Right. I mean, obviously, there's mental health practitioners and even general practitioners. If you are struggling, the most important thing, I think this is pretty commonly talked about now, is just reach out, just talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who that somebody is. It could be a colleague, could be your boss, could be your neighbour, GP. It doesn't matter who it is. That whole, the problem shared is a problem halved.
My nana would say that to me. My nana would say, Scott, a problem shared is a problem halved. I'm a massive believer in it. Right?
It's so true though, because you're kind of getting it off your chest. Another old adage, but I would say talk to someone first, and then if you can kind of identify where that's coming from, it might be. There's so many things that can trigger, right? Marriage breakdown, relationship breakdown, a bad physical accident. There's so many things.
Totally. Right. I wanted to switch gears a little bit, but I want to talk about a brave decision you made to voluntarily liquidate your business. That's a brave decision, man. Like a lot of people aren't brave enough to make that decision, and other people have to make it for them. What was obviously tell us a little bit about the business.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Then, if you don't mind, just
because
I think it's valuable to people to learn.
Well, it certainly was a better decision for us to do it ourselves than to be directed. And the reality was we probably weren't far away from being directed to do it. So we were, our business was in the after school and school holiday space. So we provided after school programs, school holiday programs for we had around 43 centres throughout the South Island. So we were fairly well established. Prior to COVID, we were doing really, really well. Turning over some big money, lots of staff, lots of kids coming through. It was a great service. COVID, just so much changed. And I know, I never like blaming COVID because it's an easy out, right? But I think now there are, of those 43, I think there are only 10 sites that have stayed open. So the demand is just...
Is the demand for it just, people didn't want to leave the kids there, or what was...
Well, it's just, there's much more work from home.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
and you imagine it too. If you're a parent, work from home, and you go, "Hey, Billy, no, sorry, mate, you got to go to after school care." But mum, you're at home, or Dad, you're at home. What you know?
No, totally.
And there's that whole guilt trip.
Yeah.
Right? So that it started to really plummet. My wife and I poured a couple $100,000 of our own money into it.
Yeah.
You know, we had loads of staff.
Yeah.
We had to support.
Yeah, it's quite an intense kind of business model too, because you've got short time frames.
Yeah.
People for those time frames, and you have to have people for those time frames.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, quite an intense.
Yeah, and pretty strict guidelines from the Ministry of Social Development.
Totally.
You know, we had certain number of staff we had to have, and all ratios, all those kind of things, which were obviously for a good reason.
Police vetted.
Yeah, and lots of, you know, administratively, like we'd send out thousands of invoices for less than $150.
Yeah,
you know, and trying to chase us up was, you know, and we're last to be paid.
Yep.
You know, and what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy. Yeah. 5-year-old Billy, your mum hasn't paid the bill, you can't come in.
Yeah.
Off you go and you know, hang around the streets till 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we essentially, with the advice of our accountant, and we had no more money to put into it. We were dry by that point. So we said we just can't continue.
Can't continue.
Yeah.
And so what happened to the business as far after going to liquidation? Did anyone like pick it up or anything like that?
Yeah, we sold.
Yep.
The liquidator sold all of our Nelson branches to a wonderful woman up there who's still operating a couple, and she may have expanded even.
Yep.
She was a fantastic operator. Pretty much some other providers picked up another couple here in Christchurch, but pretty much that was about it. Yeah.
What did you learn about that business when you were running it? What were some of the things that you look today and go, man, that was a good lesson?
Well, it's interesting. You know, they're probably the skills are probably more soft skills.
Yep.
Particularly around leadership. I don't think I was a particularly good leader.
Yeah.
At the time, and you know, some of the staff would probably agree with that. I don't know, but if I'm reflecting on it, I think I reflect back on it. There's a lot of things I do differently, particularly around how I led. What would have been the priorities in terms of processes and systems and creating all those things. Those are probably the biggest things, and I think.
What would you do differently?
Mate, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, you know, it's because it's not just a customer.
What about from a leadership perspective? What are the things that you'd do differently? Would you be more open with your leader, like building leaders in the business, or like?
I think I would now. Going back, I would have a higher trust model.
Okay.
I'd probably micromanage too much.
Yeah. No, true.
You know, and I recognise that now, and I wanted things to be a certain way.
Yep.
So you had to do it this way, and I was making sure that it was done this way.
So it all relies on you.
Yeah, and that's obviously not a great business model for a start, but it also stifles that. You know, like I employ people for a reason.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't employ them to be just like me.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't until you get out of that you realise that. So we had regional managers, we had 5 regional managers, and obviously each one had a particular region they took care of. And in hindsight, what I should have done is said, "This is what I need from you."
Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
but
totally.
instead I was looking over your shoulder.
I know it took you a bit to learn that, but that's a great lesson for any future thing that you do, right?
Yeah.
I'm a massive believer. I saw it in my first business before we sold. Business partner at the time, he didn't really trust. It was all about, he would micromanage people, and people, you could see they didn't like it. And my leadership skills completely different. I've hired you for a reason. You've gone through the process. You're obviously very good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
Now, this is your role. You must own it. Okay. And look, give them the roadmap to own that within the first 90 to 100 days. But after, it's your role. You've got to own it. And that is, that trust model, like, giving people that ownership of stuff today is so important to get 100%, the buy-in, right? Yeah. Otherwise, it is on you, and that's when you start to...
Yeah, but and that's not a great way to run a business, is it to be all on the leader, but it's not bringing out the best in your people either. You know, it's not being fair to those people that you employ either. You're not growing them. No. And I've learned since that exit, or even over the period just prior to that exit, I've just learnt so much. I've upskilled myself so much. And if I was to go back and do it again, even the skills that I would share with my people would be vastly different. And I used to think I was being a good boss because I was trying to be a nice guy. And that was what being a good boss was just being a nice guy. And it's not.
It's not.
I mean, it's part of it, but it's not, being a leader is not just being a nice bloke.
No, totally. You're not there to be friends, you're not there to be their friend.
But you got to be friendly.
Totally.
But, and as a leader, and you probably know this, you can't really be their friend because there's just that natural power imbalance, right? And it'll always be, doesn't matter how friendly you try to be, there'll always be that natural power imbalance.
Well, at the end of the day, you've got to lead the troops too, right? You've got to lead people. And when you're a leader, you've got to make tough decisions sometimes,
you do,
right? And sometimes they can only be made by you, right?
Yeah.
And, hey, look, at the end of the day, you made a tough decision. You led the way by putting it into voluntary liquidation, I think, but out the back of it, what I did hear and what I love to hear is, you're taking the time to develop yourself now, right? And take, I always say to people, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it that really matters. And, when even young guy here the other day made a video and the sound was rubbish because he just didn't put a dead cat on the audio. Hey, a day later, he got it fixed. And I'm like, that's, he took the feedback and went and fixed it, You've obviously learned from your, I got a coin in my office there, because we talked at the start, we were talking about failure, and I don't really believe in failure. You either win or you learn. And I got given that by a really successful entrepreneur, this coin, and it says win on one side, learn on the other. That's what you've done. Like you've gone away, you've something's happened and it hasn't gone as well as you thought it was going to go, but now you're learning.
Yeah.
And how cool's that?
Taking those opportunities, right?
You're learning to be a better leader. You're learning to be a better person, looking to maybe even have more trust, and realizing that, hey, if I hire good people, get out of their way, let's see what happens.
Do the job.
Which is very, very cool. What about like when you look at what you're doing now and looking to help business owners, what is it that you really want to achieve, with helping people, I guess, work smarter, reduce the stress, and be more efficient? What's your thinking?
What I really want is I want people to be able to get to the end of their day and understand that, okay, I'm not finished, but there is tomorrow, and I know what I've got to do tomorrow because I've structured myself really well. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to kick a ball with my kids.
Nice.
Or I'm going to play Monopoly with my kids.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go on a date with my partner.
Yeah.
There has to be, and we talk about work-life balance all the time and how that's blurred when, I've got my work emails on my phone and all that kind of stuff, and that's not going to change.
No.
Right? So how do we create ourselves an environment where we can create those professional times but also create those important personal times?
Okay.
And that all comes from having structure and understanding what our priorities are.
Yep.
If I know I've got X amount of tasks on my plate at any one time, and of those X amount of tasks, these 3 here are my top priority. I need to do them first. I've structured my week or my day to ensure that I get those done with plenty of time so that I'm not getting stressed or anxious about a looming deadline. And at the end of the day, I can go, okay, I've achieved what I needed to achieve today. I can go home and I know that tomorrow, I don't have to think about what I've got to do tomorrow at night when I'm at home, because I can come in tomorrow and it's all there. It's all on my calendar for me.
Sounds perfect. Sounds too perfect. Talk to me about the business owner who has 30 staff.
Yeah.
He's had 3 people call in sick today. He's got 6 clients waiting in the waiting list or waiting area wanting their tyres changed. And his admin lady's just come to him and said, hey, such and such still owe us a bunch of money.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that I really talk a lot about too, is that reality happens.
Yeah.
Like you hear these stories, time block your week, 8 till 9, 9 till 10, 10, you can't do that. And if you do that, understand that you're going to have to change stuff. Like you cannot go through a week. I don't think anybody can set themselves on a Friday afternoon, this is my week next week, it is not going to change.
No.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
So flexibility is a big part of what I talk about and what I teach.
Nice.
But the idea is that if we have a really good understanding of prioritization, I've got, so let's say this is happening on a Wednesday, your scenario. So Wednesday happens. All the tasks I've got on Wednesday, I can actually defer them because they're not due on Thursday.
No.
They're due on following Monday. So I've given myself some buffer.
Nice.
So Wednesday just turns to absolute shit.
Yeah.
It's okay. I know that I can defer Wednesday stuff till Thursday and so on. I can defer those. Some of those I might actually be able to delegate.
Yeah. So do you work with businesses to prioritize tasks? Because I think that's really like understanding what tasks are important in a business. Because I see businesses, the same scenario. You could see a business, well, actually, maybe they shouldn't actually even be in
100%.
doing the tires. They should be way up here managing and looking at the team structure and everything else, you know.
Or you have the lead or the manager fixing tires.
Yeah.
Man, that's not the best use of your time.
No. So how do you work with businesses to get really clear on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So and it's really a strategic approach. Like you have to have a really good understanding of your strategy. What is your purpose for a start? And what is your strategy, what you're trying to achieve? And then all of this stuff, we approach it from a strategic perspective as well. So we implement new strategies. We might even create some new policies around, you know, this is how this organization, this is how we email. So when you onboard somebody into your organization, part of their onboarding is understanding how in this organization we do our emailing or how we run meetings. Perfect. Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Getting everyone on the same page with how it's done.
Well, you know better than anybody, you know, like business is a team game.
Yeah, totally.
It is. It's a team sport.
Yeah.
We've all got to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And I use emailing as a really good example. You know, if within, how many staff you got, about 20?
We've got 17. Including some overseas.
Yeah. So if you have this one person and say I do one-on-one coaching with this particular individual, we'll call it, we'll use Renee as an example. So I've done this one-on-one coaching with Renee. I've taught her how to email properly and, you know, and how to be succinct, be direct and all those kind of things. So, you know, Billy emails Renee, is this question, long question today, and she goes, yes, that's fine. And Billy's going, oh, geez, have I pissed Renee off today? What's going on? Is she upset with me, you know? Whereas if we had an agreed upon set of principles for the entire office that we don't need to use salutations and write these massive big emails to each other. We just need to say what we need to say.
Yeah.
Then no one's going to be upset because that's what we agreed upon. And I'm not saying that's the best way to do it, but if we agree upon it, then we all know.
We all know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. One of the things that we learned is we don't actually use email internally anymore.
No, use Slack.
We use Google Chat.
Yeah.
And have the structure inside that. It's very, very good to just like, you know.
And those are even better.
Yeah.
Because you can be informal.
Yeah.
I worked with a very, very large international company who had email and 4 chat systems.
Yeah.
I go, man, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Because everything gets lost in email, right?
Yeah.
Especially the way those structures are set up.
Yeah.
So when you're working with a business owner and you talked about purpose and getting clear on that, how do you work with that and get that out of them? What's your go-to there? Because I think purpose is a big thing that a lot of businesses, I think if they just got clear on that, there would be one thing that would really, really help them.
Yeah, I mean, purpose is an interesting concept, right? Every business has a purpose for being in business, and they all have a mission statement and all the rest of it. One of the big things about purpose is it's a huge driver of engagement.
Yeah.
You know, so if we have our purpose for something, then we're more likely to engage in that particular task, right? But as business owners, we often think about purpose as this massive, big, overarching thing, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So the purpose of our company is to X, Y, Z, and we want all our staff to buy into that and to buy into our ideals and those kinds of things. We kind of leave the idea of purpose there. Whereas what we should be doing right down at the bottom level, we want to be saying, you know, I've got this task for you and this is why.
Yeah.
This is why I'd like you to do it. It's why I need it done.
Yeah, I like it.
Because attaching purpose, and it might in some way, shape or form reflect the higher purpose. It may not at that particular level. But what it does is it creates engagement with that individual. They know, they understand why you're asking them to do it rather than just say, oh, the boss has just told me I've got to do this.
Yeah.
And there's actually a thing called the Michael Schumacher Effect.
Nice.
We all know Michael Schumacher, right? And there was some research done some time ago now, and some researcher went in and spoke to all the staff, and I'm very much summarising this. He went to the guy sweeping the floor was pristine, talked to the guy sweeping the floor, said, well, why are you such a good job? Why is this so beautifully presented, this floor? You're just a floor sweeper. And he said, well, if I do my job well, the mechanics won't have to trip over anything or slide anything, and
nice.
and then Mike will be able to go faster.
Yeah, good.
So that purpose was relayed all the way down to what can traditionally be seen as the bottom rung of the ladder.
Yeah. But they really got what their role was inside that purpose.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Someone has said to them, look, I need you to sweep the floor, and if you do a really good job, this is why.
Yeah. How good. That is, like, I know for us, purpose is huge. Like ours is, to educate and inspire, educate, influence, and inspire growth together. And I know the team will get in front of videos in a heartbeat, because that's the thing here, is to educate, influence, and inspire growth together. We want to actually help other businesses, and we know one of the ways to do that is to share our insights, which is one of our core values, influence through insights. And it's a big driver. But I think I could do a better job making it clear and attaching the purpose to why I want people to do stuff. So that's a really good takeaway, is if you've got a purpose inside your business, look to align that with getting your team to do things.
Yeah, it doesn't take much longer, right?
No.
Hey, Scott, can you do this for me? And this is why. There's not a lot of effort in that.
No, but once again, it keeps that alive too. It keeps
There's a lot of payoff.
It keeps that purpose alive. That whole Michael Schumacher, that 1% effect thing too, is really great.
Hugely powerful.
It's I love reading that book, Atomic Habits, and when they talked about Sir David Brailsford talking about all those 1%ers, cleaning the inside of the van and painting it white, where all the cycles are going, cyclists putting their bikes in, because
That's
they
crazy,
can see where the dirt was, right?
Yeah.
But it's all those little things that add up to be big things.
Absolutely,
What are some of the hurdles you find when it comes to helping businesses be more efficient?
Oh, the biggest one is themselves.
Yep.
And part of that comes back to the way I communicate what I do, because nobody likes to be told that they're not doing a great job, or that they're not productive, or whatever. So I have to really clearly communicate that just not being productive is not the same as being lazy.
Yeah.
And being busy is not the same as being lazy.
Yeah.
Being busy is being active, and you think you're doing the right things. Yeah. Sometimes that's via procrastination and a lot of other reasons. But being busy is not being lazy. Yeah. Being lazy is being on Facebook or whatever, or just taking longer, or just sitting there twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah.
I've done a recent post on LinkedIn about the 4 learning stages, and the first stage of learning that most of us are in is unconscious incompetence.
Yep.
Where we don't know what we're doing is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for a lot of us, that's the way we work. We don't know that the way we email is not maybe the most efficient. The way we run our meetings is not the most efficient. The way we use our calendar is not the most efficient. So it's not that we are knowingly doing stuff wrong. We just don't know there's another way.
Yeah, true.
So trying to communicate that to businesses is a challenge. The other biggest challenge, and I think you'd probably appreciate this too, you possibly struck this in your time, is resistance to change.
Yep.
Particularly in that generation above us that are fairly resistant to change.
Yeah, totally.
And they either they don't believe in new research, or they don't want to believe in new research that suggests, for example, that flexible working is the best way to increase productivity. Yeah. That's just an example.
Yeah. But that comes up all the time, right? And, I talk to a number of people across New Zealand about what's going on with AI, and there's a bunch of people there that are just going, hey, I don't want to hear about it. People deal with people. That's all you need to know. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see how that works out for you. Yeah. Because like productivity, and I'm a massive believer, and I'm just a massive, I really believe you should be using technology or tools to get an edge in efficiencies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's really interesting talking to a gentleman who was actually a client a couple of weeks ago here, and we were talking about, he was there when cash registers and checks were being handed over, and he was the software guy that was developing for FPOST, and he was just seeing how quickly other businesses took over other businesses once FPOST and all that.
Yeah.
The inventory management and all that sort of came in, and look, when you look at it today, that is the norm, but that is where you get your gains and efficiencies, right?
Absolutely.
And if you're not using that type of stuff, you know, you are missing out big time, and you're not being as efficient as you can be.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, it's okay sometimes to be lazy. You know, you don't have to be on all the time.
Absolutely.
But if you've got things working on in the background, working for you, you know, you can actually be lazy, but you actually have leverage going on in the back.
Well, and what you're saying about lazy is, you know, too, is that we go through seasons, right? You know, we go through stages, and it might be, I've got this big client, and they need this done. It's really lucrative job for me. I'm going to have to work 14-hour days for 3 weeks to get it done.
Yeah.
That's just a season that I've got to go through because that's what's required right now today. We want to manage that time and make sure that we've set ourselves up well for doing those big hours and going through that season. But the season beyond that might be that because I've done that, I can now take every Friday off for the next couple of weeks, you know, and it's a different season again.
Yeah,
and it's not being lazy, it's just working to different seasons.
Would the old Craig take that first role though? Knowing what you know now?
No.
Because there's better ways to do stuff, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, unconscious incompetence. We don't know that there's better ways.
Yeah, you don't know there's better ways.
Yeah.
Hey, you're talking about those four learning stages. Let's go through them. So unconscious.
So the first one's unconscious incompetence, and that's when we don't know. Essentially, we don't know what we don't know.
Don't know we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Got it.
Then we move into conscious incompetence.
Yep.
And that's when we know what we're doing isn't working or isn't the best way,
Yep.
and we're seeking answers, or we're seeking knowledge, we're seeking new information.
Yeah, nice.
Then we have conscious incompetence, when we know what we're doing, but we have to think about it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, so it's like intentional learning. So when I ride a bike, I'm having to intentionally do that all the time.
Yep.
So intentionally, or learning anything really.
Yeah.
And then we have unconscious competence is the fourth one. Unconscious competence.
Yep.
And that's when it's automatic.
Yeah.
So that's like driving a car.
So how do I get home?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
And get into that fourth level is when we start to remove those decisions from our cognitive area, our prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
So we don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
So that's freeing up that cognitive energy for
Yeah.
those jobs, perhaps in stage 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah. So how do you get better at all that sort of stuff? Because that's a like, you know, these are 4 stages of learning.
Yeah.
What do I do? Am I doing reps? Am I doing? Because if I don't know what I don't know, how does the lens get onto that? Like,
I mean, getting out of stage 1 is the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
No.
So often that's your boss will come to you and say, hey, look, I think, you know, this isn't working for you. Maybe we need to look at some new skills for you.
Yep.
Or I don't know, you fall off your bike too often, so you realise it's, you know, you're not riding it correctly.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. Usually there's an external influence
Yep.
that makes you realise that what I'm doing right now is not the best way of doing it. So then we get to stage 2, and that's when we've got to stage 2 is when we start to understand that what I am doing is wrong and I need to find more information.
Yep.
So often
That's a good place to be, right?
It's a very good place to be, and that's where growth occurs.
Yeah.
Right. The third stage is the hardest stage
Yeah.
because that's repetition, that's practice, that's intentionality.
Yeah.
That's when you've got to, you know, you've
Yeah,
got to
the reps.
think about. It's like learning to drive a car, right?
Yeah.
Remember, if you've got to clutch. Well, you and I would have done it with the old old manual.
Manuals.
They do it with automatic now, but
Yeah.
clutch, accelerator, got to get that right, and you have to think really hard about that.
Yeah.
So that stage 3 is when it really all the magic happens.
Yeah.
And it's through repetition, and that's, you know, I mean, I have a personal dislike for things like, you know, learning online. online learning.
Yep.
Because there's no, in that stage 3, there's nothing there to support that stage 3. It's here's some information.
Yep.
You go and do it, or you don't go and do it.
Yep.
Like I did a 1 hour course the other day, sat and listened to some dude for 1 hour. I couldn't ask him questions, couldn't seek clarification on any points that I didn't understand.
Yep.
I had to answer 4 questions. 4 questions, each of them had 4 options to choose from. 3 of the options were probably 5 or 6 word sentences. The 4th option was a paragraph, so it was pretty obvious which was the right one. So if you asked me what I learned, I couldn't tell you, but I got 100% on my exam.
Yeah.
So there's got to be support for that repetition. There's got to be different ways of going through that same information until it gets to stage 4.
If you're training and looking to train your teams, you should be looking for that external support to that 3rd learning stage. Yeah. Nice.
Yep. Absolutely. Someone who has the skills that can share those skills. You mentioned it earlier, you look to find people that can share what they know.
Yeah.
It's like getting a plumber in to fix your pipes, right? You're not going to try and do it yourself.
No.
Well, you could, but it'd take you a long time. You might get it wrong.
Yeah. I know I'd get it wrong. So
Me too, I have done.
I just go straight to who I know and get them to do the job.
Yeah.
When you look at your business, where do you see your business going? I know parts of it's still early days. But, where do you see? Because I know you're doing a bit of a networking thing as well. You're building up a group of founders, is it?
Yep. That so in terms of ProMind solutions, that's as it sits today, I probably wouldn't expand beyond just me.
Yep.
I love having these conversations and doing this kind of educational programs with people, and I love seeing that transformation.
Yep.
That's a little bit selfish. I don't want anyone else to do that. And there's a certain amount of, like I know what I'm delivering.
Yep.
And I want to deliver it myself. So
nice.
a little bit selfish, I suppose. And I've had my time employing people, mate.
Yep.
I don't really want to go back through that again. In terms of founders is it's not a revenue stream at all. It's essentially a support network, a social support network. It was born out of my experiences as a business owner.
Yep.
And you've been in business ownership for a long time, and what I found, and even talking to the members of founders, is that they all have these same fears and anxieties, and they all think they're the only ones that have them.
Yeah.
And if you don't own a business, as hard as you try to sympathize, you cannot empathize with that person.
No.
You can't understand the significance of what might seem like a small win. You just get that one client.
Yeah.
If you own the business, that's huge. Huge for your, for your business, for your ego, for your confidence. But to someone else, might be, well, that's just one client, man. What's the big deal?
So getting around people that are founders that understand that is key, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just creating a network of people that can understand those things about one another.
Yeah. So why did you want to create that? Because it's a pretty cool idea. Is there any just be around other people?
Just because I wanted people to understand that what they're going through as a business owner is not unique.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying to me, you're not special, mate.
Yeah.
Everyone else, and I meant it in a really positive way. You're not special. Everybody else has these.
Everyone else has
too.
those issues too.
So don't feel you're the only one going through this.
And
so
the ability to share them once again, them with people.
Yeah, problem shares, problem halved.
Yeah.
And so we meet first Tuesday of every month. Just whoever wants to come along. There's limited seats, so we're at capacity. We're going to probably do another one. We just started a podcast. We're going to put on some events and stuff as well.
That's cool.
Going forward,
And so people who own a business can go to that, the founder of the business.
But you have to own a business.
Yep.
So we don't want mortgage brokers or insurance salesmen coming up. There's no 1 minute spiel. It's very informal. We sit down for coffee. We're very fortunate. Supreme sponsor us coffee.
Yep.
So we have free filter coffee, and it's it's just casual, and usually we'll talk about something. So this morning we had one, and we just talked about how the rest of us, how we all kind of deal with our leave, with going on holiday, and how we feel about that. Because there's,
Great
you're
topic.
trying to be on holiday, but you're not really, and how do you deal with that? What about financially? Do you put money aside so that you can, when you don't have clients for that week, you can still, So that was kind of the topic of conversation today.
What was a good tip?
Well, what came out of it was that everybody really values that time,
Yeah.
but no one really has a real holiday, complete holiday.
Yeah.
From the conversation this morning, none of them really do that.
Yep.
They will all work on holiday.
Yeah.
Every single business owner this morning.
Do you think it is because they like what they do, or is it they actually have to do?
Well, from what the conversations this morning, it was anxiety.
Oh, wow.
You know, if I don't do it, what's going to happen? If I don't reply to my customer, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And ironically, the conversation also sort of headed towards, but then I got back and my client said, I thought you were on holiday. You didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. You know that the strangest part is when you start dealing with businesses and business owners that play at another level. So there's levels of business owners. When you deal with people that have bigger businesses, they want you to go on holiday and they want you to have fun.
Yep.
The smaller business owner, he doesn't want you to go on holiday and he doesn't want you to have fun. I had a situation a few years ago, smaller business owner, saw that I was posting some stuff up about skiing with my son and stuff. And he messaged me via LinkedIn saying, I don't think it's very good that you're having holidays.
Oh.
And it was real interesting because there's the bigger business owners that we deal with. Man, texting me, loving your photos. Oh, so good to see Louis up there skiing, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. This guy, I was like, man, small mindset, right? The other guy, small mindset, no longer a client, got straight away, hey, we'll end our agreement. You know, you can't have
fair
that.
Enough.
Can't have that happening. But it is the smaller minded ones that will have that like that level of, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, you know.
Well, and that's where that anxiety comes from, right? Like I don't want to post stuff because what will my customers think? They'll think, they're charging me too much, or because I can afford to do this. You know, so and then that's anxiety.
Well, the cool thing is, you know, a lot of my clients, bigger clients, have become kind of friends over the years. So whenever they're on holiday, I'm like, boom, well done. This is awesome. Have fun, you know, celebrate your victories.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like now, and same for me, I go, hey man, I'm so glad you've taken some time for yourself. Enjoy that skiing in south of France or I don't know where.
You can't always be on, you know, and this is the thing. Business owners, you need to take some time out. You need to reset. You need to, you know, especially, you know, for me, young fella, he's 11 now. You don't have that much longer that they really think you're cool and they want to be around you, right?
100%.
So, I'm not gonna be, you know, if someone's upset with that, then you know you're not hanging around in my environment.
Instead of their ass, right?
But it's cool that you've got a group there that can talk about that because that's a big thing for a business owner. And once again, I like what you said. Everyone knows that they're not. You know, they're not special. Everyone else is feeling that. You know, everyone else is feeling the fact that, hey, you know, I'm going away and, you know, I want to enjoy the time, but I don't really want to put it out there too much that I'm, you know.
And again, this morning everyone left a little bit better than they came because they understood that I've got this anxiety around going on holiday, but then so does everybody else. So it's
everyone else is.
And interesting what you said about, you know, with the kids. I remember my youngest, she's 10 now, and she was maybe 4 or 5. She said, Daddy, why are you always on your laptop?
Yeah.
You know, and that hit me pretty hard.
Kids are good like that, eh?
They're real good. And again, that's what I come back to my purpose, I suppose. And I want parents to be able to go, okay, I'm just going to shut my laptop. I'm just going to go and play some Uno with you. You know, you're going to go to bed at 8:30. If I want to work after that, I'll do it after that. But right now,
I know constantly with my son, I every time if I'm on my phone and if he comes over, I just put it down straight away. Like he's the most important part. And I know he values, you know, we went for a walk yesterday afternoon and then Dad, we're going to play basketball. I said, yeah, we're going to play basketball. And then I know his mum wasn't feeling too well. So I said, hey, Louis, we'll get everything ready for dinner and then I'll make dinner. And I said, as a reward, me and you will go and have a game of FIFA. And so he's in there like cutting stuff up. And then knows we're going to go play FIFA, right? And
that Fortnite.
Well, yeah, he plays that by himself with his mates and stuff. But I'm not. I can't get involved in that game. But it was really good to, you know, like you know, you're right. They're going to go to bed at 8:30. If you need to open your laptop, you can get it open.
Do it then. Yeah, preferably not at all. You know, again, if we go back to that prioritization and structure, ideally you want to be in a position where you can leave work and know that you've got tomorrow set.
See, this is the thing. I think, like, Yes, because when I had my first business, I worked at home, and I realized I just worked too much.
Yeah.
And it was right, it was bad. And then I realized I had to get an office,
Yeah.
and I got an office, and it was probably the size of this table, but it was good because I'd go there and then leave.
That separation, right?
Separation, and
Yeah.
I think this is one of the problems we're going to find with people is working at home. You're constantly working,
Mate.
or there's no like, and it's even productivity to some degree. Hey, it might sound good and might be all this, but the fact that you're always on and always there, you know,
it's not great. And I don't agree with work from home. Now I need to qualify that statement. Work from home on itself is not great for culture.
No,
it's not great for that individual in terms of socialization.
No.
And we just have to go back to COVID and look at the skyrocketing rates of burnout.
Yeah.
And what happened
Totally.
in COVID? COVID came, can't work together, so here's your laptop, take it home, work.
Yeah.
But how?
Yeah.
How do I do that
Yeah.
without working every waking moment?
Yeah.
No, we'd never had that.
Yeah.
That kind of education.
Yeah. Totally.
For me, flexible working is the absolute best option.
Yeah.
And a flexible working, includes some work from home. It might be 2 days at home and 3 days in the office. It might be 5 days in the office, but you've got different places that you can go to within that environment to be comfortable.
Yeah. It's one of the coolest things I think we decided to do. You could do 1 day a week work from home. It's really interesting. Some people take it up, some people don't. Some people just love being in the office. But it's cool coming to this new office where we've got a library in here, we've got a chill out room here.
I saw
so
that.
People are starting to work in different areas, which I think is really cool. Like you're not just at your desk.
Yeah.
So I think being flexible is the key to that, right?
100%.
Like not telling, hey, you stand there and work at your desk for the next, 5
For
days
8
work.
hours. Yeah. It's crazy.
It just doesn't do it.
No.
Hey man, this has been a really good chat. Like 50 odd minutes we've been going. It feels like we just got started. Got a question.
Sure.
What is the gift that business has given you?
The first business, the gift that gave me is knowledge.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that knowledge till I exited.
Yeah, nice.
This business now is, and in that first business, I never really felt a sense of fulfillment or satisfaction. I never really felt like I was contributing in any way.
Even though you're doing a really important thing, like looking after kids.
But I never gave myself that freedom to think about that.
Yeah, wow.
Now, my business now gives, and to be fair, one of the things that it did give me was flexibility with my own children.
Yep.
Like I'd never miss a cross country or a school event,
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I really, really love is the impact that I can have. And I know that sounds a little bit arrogant, but
No,
and I don't mean it to be, but I can, as I said before, right at the start, if I can provide someone or a team of someone's with some skills that mean they don't go down the same road that I went down.
Yeah.
For me, that's gold.
Yeah, totally. And you should be proud of that. Like you shouldn't think that's arrogant. Like end of the day, you can make an impact because people will pay for your past knowledge. People will pay for your past, and the fact that you're now educating yourself, re-educating yourself, and putting it into some structures that you can give to other people. Yeah. That's a pretty cool thing, right? And
I hope so.
And you can make an impact.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, this question then. So, what do you reckon the gift that depression gave you?
I think a dose of reality. It really made me think about what's important. And I know that's a bit of a throwaway line, it made me think about what's important. But it made, after that, I realized that what I was doing wasn't long-term and sustainable.
Yeah.
So it gave me the opportunity to reflect and to really consider what was important and was I going to achieve that by continuing to do what I did the way I was?
Yeah.
Or was that diagnosis giving me an opportunity to change?
Yeah.
So that my long term, I was going to be here for a while
Yeah.
and all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good, like, when you look at the lens that you looked at through, that was pretty cool that you realized that, right? Because hey, we could continue doing busy work. We could continue doing unfulfilling work, but at the end of the day, that's not going to help me mentally to be the person I want to be. And I think the fact that that's a gift that it gave you is pretty important, and also being brave enough to ask for help, and then having the people around you that gave you the help.
Yeah, and my wife still, she still knows when to maybe give me a little bit of space or a little bit of slack, and I've learned a lot about myself too, so I know when to I go for a run. I'll go for a run if I'm feeling like a dick. Feeling overwhelmed. I'll go for a run or go for a ride or whatever.
Exercise is good, right?
Oh,
it is really good.
It's been one of the things that pills as well. But pills and exercise have really made a huge difference. And one thing I will add too, in terms of both the depression diagnosis and the liquidation, and people say to me, "Oh, you wish that never happened?"
No,
absolutely not. And if I could go back in time, I still wouldn't change it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because of what and I know it sounds really bad, but what I got out of those experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm a true believer in not necessarily fate or all those things, but we are a sum of all of our experiences.
Totally.
Positive and negative.
Massive believer in that.
Yeah.
And now you can lean into those experiences and have empathy with other people.
Yeah.
And that means a lot in today's society, because, years ago that would just be brushed under the carpet.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
people wouldn't have been dealing with any of that, right?
No, that's right.
But the reality is you don't have to be alone in this sort of stuff. Right?
100%.
That's one of the things I learned from COVID too, is you don't have to be alone. Like there were people that were alone, but you don't actually have to be alone.
No.
And it's up
not
to
in this day and age.
No, and it's up to the leaders, to lead that way, to let people know. So what you're doing now, is helping people through reducing stress, being more efficient, and leading the way with what you've learned from the past, to actually develop that and really, give people a leg up if they need one, right? Which is real cool.
Yeah.
Hey man, so where do people get hold of you? Because there'll be people listening to this conversation going, man, this has been good. This has been a wee bit deeper than what Scott normally goes into. Didn't even really talk about marketing today, but
sorry about that.
We didn't need to. Where do people go to get hold of you, and where can people reach out?
The best place is just hit my email, craig@promind.co.nz, or go through LinkedIn. Obviously, there's you can go to the website too. But I love to meet you. So if you're in the Christchurch area, you're more than welcome to email me or join my, follow me on LinkedIn. But
nice.
Preferably just sing out. Let's have a coffee, and that's not a sales pitch. That's just, I like this. This is good.
Yeah.
I like to connect, and so coffee doesn't cost much.
No. Totally.
It costs more now than it used to.
Yeah, totally. But also, we're like founders. If someone here is a founder and they like the idea of that, maybe they're even in another area and they want to know how to create a founders.
Cool.
What do they do there? How do they get a hold of you, and how do they go to one in Christchurch?
So the founders group, you can get reserved seats on Eventbrite.
Okay.
So that's the first Tuesday of every month.
Best to go to LinkedIn and connect with you.
Go to LinkedIn and connect through there, or even email me at ProMind.
All right. So we'll put all the links and stuff inside the chat. But look for you on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And I'll always engage. I'm not one of these people who goes, I don't know you, so I'm not connecting.
Yeah.
What is that saying? There's no strangers in the world, just people who haven't met yet.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hey man, really appreciate your time.
No worries.
Really
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for coming on.
Very cool.
Hey, so this has been a good podcast, right? I need you to do one thing now, though. I need you to share it. We've been getting some great results in the charts. More and more people are sharing the podcast. I know some of our the shorts that we've been creating have been getting some great engagement too, which leads to more people listening to the podcast. Maybe this is the first time you've listened to this podcast. If it is, welcome. If you're a long-time listener, welcome back. But just do us a favor, share it out on LinkedIn, share it out on Instagram, share it out on Facebook, because the more people that we can reach, the more impact we can make. And look, if you want to talk to Craig, make sure you look at the show notes and you can get hold of him, and he'll definitely have a coffee with you. All right, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in, man.
Cheers, man.
As always, go out there, take action, have fun, and as always, remember one thing: celebrate your victories.